Over the past couple years, I've immersed myself in the survival horror genre. Tormented Souls is one of the games that was exceptional. In all of the best ways, it feels like an homage to earlier survival horror titles. Resident Evil 1 is one of the most noteworthy and well-received classic survival horror games of all time, and I think it deserves that praise. In my opinion, Tormented Souls deserves a similar level of praise as Resident Evil. While obviously having the advantage of modern game development technology, Tormented Souls really stood out to me. The atmosphere is one of the strongest I've seen for a first-wave survival horror game, which is saying a lot because it matches the quality of atmosphere of the survival horror greats like Resident Evil 1, 2, 7, and Silent Hill 2. Taking place in an old mansion-esque hospital, everything is worn down, the lights are dim, and the hallways are tight. You start the game with the lights off and power needing to be restored. You only have a lighter after escaping your first room, and to be able to progress, you need to move through the dark. With the game's locked camera, some angles tilt as you move through hallways, which does a lot of legwork to put you on edge. The lighting in the game is amazing, giving you the bare minimum while never really taking away visibility completely. The dim but generous lighting helps so much with the feel of the environment and your immersion. You always feel on edge even before you meet your first enemy. The enemy design in Tormented Souls is really solid. Genuinely, every creature's design is well done. The enemy designs fall into a group that I call grotesque mutilated human experiments. Nothing really runs at you, but you still feel in danger, half because of the creature designs and half because they're genuinely trying to kill you, and can easily kill you if you don't respect their space. At various points throughout the game, there are also some interesting design choices that only help Tormented Souls in the atmosphere department. Various mirrors and projector screens can be walked through, leading to another view of the world you're in. This was one of the first real hooks to the game for me, as I love a well-executed alternate dimension. There's more on this later. I don't want to give anything away, so let's just put a pin in that and move on to the one thing that did hurt my immersion. Tormented Souls is voice acted, and while I mostly think the actors did a good job, there's a couple lines that had a cadence that didn't fit the tone and negatively impacted my immersion.
You don't see the man on the other side of the glass?
My child, this place is giving you hallucinations. You must rest.
Not by much, but it's something I felt was worth mentioning. I think the voice acting gives the game some charm, however, it did take a slight bit away from my experience in it. If you're the type of player who likes to save frequently, or if you like to pick easier difficulties, then Tormented Souls may, unfortunately, not be for you. Although if you're interested, I'd still give it a try. Saves are notably limited in Tormented Souls, with normally only one usable save spawning per save room. While the saves become more plentiful the further you go into the game, the early game can be harder for some more save-happy players. Autosaves do not exist, and backtracking, while I personally find rewarding on some level, is nearly inevitable due to your limited saves. Player choice is limited to playing safe. In a different regard, I do admire the choice of occasionally implementing voice acting to recap story events when you do save. It's something that's hardly done, but it's nice to see a tape recorder that's use is more than just set dressing.
An old magnetophone. It looks like it works. Recording my progress might be useful if anything happens to me.
Ammo is not as plentiful as it is in other survival horror games, and while aiming is easy, so is using a lot of ammo. With how my first playthrough went, I found myself saving ammo and avoiding enemies until I neared the end of the game. Even with a seemingly low kill count, I had almost run out of ammo when I approached the final stretch. I think the resources are well balanced to justify the game being called survival horror, but it rides a fine line. Near the end game, I had low health, lower ammo, and only a few extra saves, and I'm pretty dang stingy on saves. For every encounter, you can choose to spend resources in ammo to permanently clear out enemies, or risk losing healing resources by evading enemies. This strategic choice is a make or break in most survival horror games for me, and Tormented Souls strikes a good balance. The gunplay is consistent to where you can confidently kill the enemies if you have the ammo. I left some enemies in play for my whole game due to their easy navigability. Saving a whole clip of ammo helped me in the long run when I was running low on ammo come endgame. When navigating through the map, you may approach dark areas. These can only be traversed if you are holding a lighter. The lighter cannot be dual-wielded with another weapon, which sometimes puts you in a weird situation where you can't kill enemies unless if you move to a safe area. This adds a bit more difficulty to the game by forcing you to treat encounters a little more like a puzzle than in other games, where guns a-blazing is a one-size-fits-all strategy. Also, at some point in the game, you need to turn the building's generator back off to progress, and this raises the stakes just a little bit. To briefly touch on it for the time being, Tormented Souls' main appeal to me, other than its immersive classic survival horror gameplay, was its puzzles. Do you guys ever solve a puzzle and feel so satisfied by its solution that all you have is respect? When the puzzle hits the perfect balance right between, "that made no sense, how could I have ever come to that conclusion?" and "yeah, that makes sense, but I was hoping for something a bit more." This rewarding balance of puzzles was refreshing. Sure, some puzzles took me a while, but most of the solutions were incredibly satisfying. One thing that I love about survival horror games is exploration. Good survival horror titles have locations that are easily navigable and rewarding to master. Tormented Souls requires you to figure out the map yourself. There's no hand-holding when it comes to items, where you've been, or what you collected. The map does not change or expand past when you collect new pieces of it. The only thing keeping track of anything is yourself. Sure, on the map, rooms appear to be different colors, but that's just how they are. Green is for hallways and red is for smaller rooms. The colors do not change throughout the game. Knowing where to go can always be a hurdle for survival horror games. Tormented Souls somewhat sidesteps this issue with its use of NPCs. At various progression milestones throughout the game, you may find a recurring NPC who can help you by telling you loosely where to go. While not something to rely on, the NPC is a helpful option when the opportunity does come up. Otherwise, you may need to look some things up. There's mostly no shame, it is a confusing game sometimes. That being said, Tormented Souls has some of the best puzzles I've seen in a game, period. Even though I was guilty for using hints for some puzzles, I immediately felt some regret when I dishonorably looked up a solution. On the rare occasions where I did look up something externally, I would always be disappointed in myself and not the puzzle. There was always a moment of shame where I was so close to the solution, and if I approached the puzzle from a different mental angle, then I would have been able to get it. Nearly every puzzle felt this good, and I always felt a sense of pride when being able to move on. If you ever find a point where you're stuck on the puzzles, there's an amazing guide on Steam made by Keytor that gives incremental hints hidden behind spoiler tags. Instead of seeing every solution shoved in your face at once, the guide gives you hints that start by nudging you in the right direction. If you don't want to touch a guide at all for hints, more power to you. Here's a couple general tips that may help you. First off, read your files. Most puzzles have hints or mentions in text entries. This even somewhat goes for the first puzzle in the game. If you're not getting the solution to the puzzle, take a step away. The puzzles fit into a category where sometimes you just have to think at a different angle and the solution falls into place. Giving yourself a chance to mentally reset is a valid and useful technique to progress. Unfortunately, limited saves can make it difficult to step away from a puzzle for too long, and sometimes you don't have another save to revisit a puzzle after a significant time away from the game. There are a couple of puzzles to be wary of that incorporate external knowledge or skills. If you know the date of Christmas and what it represents, you should be fine. The same goes for knowing what the North Star is and which direction the sun sets. Also, if you're tone deaf, you may struggle with one puzzle. Most everything else is self-contained in the puzzles, and external information is pretty rare. Please skip this section if you want to see all the puzzles yourself. I'm gonna talk about some of my favorites and probably ruin the fun of doing it yourself. You have been warned. About halfway into the game, you'll find parts of a key that when combined will create a key with 3 sets of the same symbols. Each of the 3 nodes of the key contains 6 symbols: a triangle, square, pentagon, hexagon, star, and a circle. This key can be used on various doors throughout the map. Each door has a puzzle relating to the shapes. The first puzzle has a 5 tilted to the left, a 3 tilted to the left, and an 8 with a note stating line equals 1 next to it. One may initially think that this means you need a pentagon, a triangle, and an octagon on the key, but there's no octagon. Thinking about the puzzle from a different angle, 90 degrees to be exact, you can assume that this third number isn't an upright 8 and more akin to a tilted infinity sign. The third symbol should therefore be a circle. Another combination key door has a note depicting Earth surrounded by a bold circle with an arrow pointing toward people. The hints that correlate to the combination key are an alien, a pharaoh, and a bee. If humanity's home is Earth, a circular planet, when depicted in 2D, then an alien's home is space or among the stars. A pharaoh's home is in the pyramids, and, well, a bee lives in a hexagonal hive. There's 2 other combination key doors, but I'll save those for you guys to figure out yourselves. When traversing through a mirror again, you eventually find yourself face to face with another puzzle, this time depicting 4 sets of blocks with monkey symbols and a button in the middle. A text entry you found earlier tells the story of a legal case where the judge read aloud from Braille the accused's sentence. The attorney was staring at the judge's lips as he spoke, and the mother of the accused frantically tried to write a plea. The last pieces to the text entry write how the gavel struck, and so did the guillotine. The symbols of the monkeys on the rotating blocks are as follows: a monkey covering its lips, another with its hands folded, one with its hands on its knees, one with its eyes covered, ears covered, and one without a head. The solution represents 3 monkeys who lack sight, hearing, and the ability to speak. The last monkey is headless, and a hammer must be used in spot 4 to check the solution. For some reason, when I went through this puzzle, I kept on trying to equate the monkeys to what they were doing, but I blame myself for playing the game at some ungodly hour in the morning when I was in between saves and not mentally prepared for puzzles. A bit later, you'll find a room with 3 paintings, each depicting a different entity holding a different weapon. Another painting depicts a nativity scene with the caption, "The day of our salvation finally came." In the same room is a grandfather clock with adjustable times. The hands are represented in the first few paintings, while the date on the clock is answered via the last painting and with external knowledge. Solving the clock puzzle gives you an item which allows you to unlock the next puzzle. And I hope you're not tone deaf, because for this next one, you need to listen to a song on a vinyl in a room and walk over to an instrument to play the same notes. This was probably my least favorite puzzle in the game. Honestly, skill issue, but not even a skill issue directly relating to the game. It also sucks that the quality from the vinyl differed so much than on the instrument. Every time I felt like I was close to the solution, I really wasn't. I kept on trying stuff like this, and this, but not this. After not too much further, we get to my favorite puzzle, the Infinite Room. Now, I'm not gonna fully spoil this one and just save some time. The Infinite Room has a compass, 4 tall stoops, 4 doors, and a readable plaque. Each time you enter the door, the plaque will either read an excerpt advancing the story, or will start the story at the beginning, depending on if your choice is correct or not. The excerpt tells a story about a man who is lost at sea for pursuing wealth and tries to find his way back to land. Each time the room generates, the direction of each door and stoop changes, and to progress, you need to pay attention to the story and follow the cardinal directions, stoops, and doors according to the text. The story of Tormented Souls begins with Caroline Walker receiving a letter from the Wildberger Hospital. Contained is a picture of twins that give her a headache when she looks at it. Flipping it over, she reads, "Do you think you can simply abandon us here?" 2 weeks later, she goes to investigate the hospital. She gets knocked out and wakes up later to find out that someone removed her eye. After regaining her bearings enough to explore, she proceeds downstairs to meet a disfigured creature that she has to run from. Entering the next room for safety, we find a priest who tells us that we can turn on the power by activating a generator in a nearby room. As I mentioned before, the priest will be a pseudo-guide for various parts of the game. Before she accesses the main hall of the mansion, she finds her way through a mirror going to an alternate reality or time. While there, she puts a plastic heart into a plastic doll, which somehow also places a real heart into a real body in the real world, which lets us advance. As we progress further, we find another photo of the twins, and some things become a little clearer. It seems that the twins are needed for a ritual of sorts, and this place seems to definitely have some cult-like ties. We later meet with the priest again in a room where we can clearly see some extremely culty ritual being done through a window next to us. The priest says he doesn't see us, but he tells us a story about a tribe who did rituals to bring back the dead, giving us a hint for the next puzzle to progress. Able to move forward, Caroline goes to the morgue only to find a dungeon area with a holding cell containing a skeleton of a kid. In the same room, she finds a VHS, and when she projects it, she goes back in time, solves a puzzle, and meets with the child trapped in the cell. One of the twins in the photo, a girl who Caroline tries to free by pouring acid on the cell's chain. Talking to the girl, you find out her name is Anna Wildberger, and you tell her that you were sent the photo of her and her twin a few weeks ago. She calls you a liar because her father took that photo yesterday and stops talking to you. You go back to the present through the VHS tape to find that the skeleton is gone, and in its place, another thing is there to help you find your way through the mansion. After quite some time, a few puzzles, and some text logs, you find an unkillable roaming ghost enemy in select rooms. Little pet peeve here. If you're on PC and if you enter a room with this enemy, the music does not scale with your volume settings, so good news, you'll always know when you're in a room with it. Bad news, your ears may bleed. Finally descending into the hospital, you get to the usual lab section of most survival horror games, where a lot more things start to reveal themselves. Relatively early into this area, you find a syringe said to have an antidote in it, which may come up later. A further descent reveals a large metal door with 2 retina scanners, appearing to be inoperable by a sole person. Nearby, you find a cell that appears to once have held Anna, with a message saying, "Emma, don't come to the vault, save yourself from hell." In this room, she finds another mirror, which appears to somehow take her back to her own room, miles away from the hospital. Solving a puzzle here gets us an item that we can use back up in the hospital to reveal a hidden room. Being in this room, Caroline plays a music box, which gives her a major headache as the past and her memories come rushing back. She remembers growing up here, and that she was actually Anna's sister Emma, who we read escaped the hospital in prior text entries. In her old room, Emma finds a fishing hook and moves on. Shortly after, she discovers the final VHS tape, which brings her back in time to directly after she was knocked out at the start of the game. She sees that this is before she lost her eye, so she gets the bright idea to, well, take out her eye. The one that's already missing. Hey, at least she knows where it is now. She takes her eye to the vault and uses the fishing hook to hang it in front of the scanner. The door opens, and the priest reveals himself to open up a secret passage. With Emma having regained her memories, she recognizes the priest as her grandfather, who tried to sacrifice her and her sister, and he was only stopped by their mother. Which is something in the text logs that I conveniently left out. I sure do suck at writing story recaps, huh? Anyway, Grandfather Noah reveals that the twins' mother died to save Emma, and he murdered their father after he developed an antidote for the radiation from the, and I quote, sacred placenta. Noah tells us that our sister Anna is just another tool to awaken the Savior. He tells us to follow him for answers as he slips into the shadows. More puzzles, some exploration, and a few new enemies later, we meet with Noah again, and he has the weird unkillable ghost-like creature trapped beside him. He claims that he reunited you with your sister, and this vault could only be opened with a set of twins' eyes. With you and your sister's collective blood, he can complete a ritual to revive his savior. We listen to his psychotic cult ramblings, and after his monologue, he sends some goons to attack us. Killing the cult members leads us to our final save room, and Noah, surprised to see us, ends up trying to take matters into his own hands by sacrificing himself to the entity in the room, and the final fight begins. Killing the boss, we're able to leave the hospital alive, and, well, now we're dead. The unkillable ghost monster, supposedly our sister, took us out before we could escape. Hey, remember that antidote that I mentioned earlier? If we use it on our deformed twin, we get to see her only to have her die in our arms. Using it reveals a set of bolt cutters that we can use to free Anna in the past. The game has 3 endings. The one where you never use the antidote, the one where you do and end up freeing Anna with the cutters, and the one where you kinda just forget about her even after using the antidote. My first ending was the forgetful one because, well, I forgot about the entire reason Caroline/Emma went to the hospital. Might as well not mess with the timeline, I suppose. The canon ending is the ending, however, where you save Anna and escape the mansion together. The story and lore of Tormented Souls is pretty good. The atmosphere really helped the game stand out to me. As I was playing through the game, I had a genuine curiosity of where the story would lead next, and felt pretty engaged throughout. I love me some good cult-related stories, especially when there are elements of the Chosen One trope, or sacrifices in general. The brief exploration of the uniqueness of twins and their bonds is something that made the game stand out even a little more, and did a decent bit of work in getting me into the story. The revelation of half of the twins being Caroline was a bit predictable, but ultimately was still satisfying. A lot of the lore that I did not mention is decently written and intriguing. I'd recommend playing the game or just watching a lore breakdown if that interests you in particular, as I have no plan to really go in depth, coupled with the fact that I haven't even played the game in half a year, and not everything is very fresh. I will say that the portals and time mechanics in the game are really interesting, but disappointingly are not explained as far as I know. My favorite part of the narrative was the revelation of what really happened with the eye and how it was incorporated with the puzzle. Tormented Souls is a true ode to classic survival horror. The puzzles are equally more rewarding and advanced than normal survival horror games. The atmosphere is really well done, and the game does a fantastic job at being immersive with its lighting techniques and off-putting Dutch angles. I can wholeheartedly recommend playing Tormented Souls if you want a more rewarding survival horror experience that calls back to its predecessors while still standing in its own spotlight. Tormented Souls has a sequel that was released just last month, and while I have yet to play the game itself, the demo seems promising. There's now a difficulty select which modifies save amounts and other basic difficulty changes. Movement is a little more streamlined, and the story was fairly engaging, at least the little bit from the demo I played was. If you want a game just like the original Resident Evil, with the difficulty turned up a slight bit, Tormented Souls might be your game. This video has been brought to you by you guys. Thank you for doing all the stuff that can help this channel. Watching, liking, subscribing, commenting, sharing all positively affects the channel. I'm also obligated to mention and thank my channel member, Alex Buffmack, who has been supporting me through this whole YouTube journey. Play good games, and until next time, later days.